Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kristen, and today I'd like to talk about my various pen cases. Since the San Francisco Pen Show is actually taking place this week, it's got me thinking about the pen cases that I want to use as I go from home to hotel for the next few days. I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of information about each of the fountain pen cases in my collection, and then I'll let you know like the pros and cons for each and which ones I actually prefer, which ones I'm going to take to the show with me, and which ones I would use when I'm not going to the show, but I need some fountain pens with me out and about. So this is my first ever fountain pen case. I purchased this one on Amazon and I quickly outgrew it, but I purchased it back in April of 2021. Currently, it is housing most of my vintage pens, and there's still some space over here for more vintage pens or some of the pens that I've been working on, at least the nibs that I've been working on. So this is my first ever solo grind, and I ground it into a cursive italic. So I wanted to make note of that, so that when I start filling up pen cases, I know exactly what grind is on which pen. All right, so that's my first case. I believe that I purchased this one initially to house all of the fountain pens that I had in my collection. At the very beginning of my fountain pen journey, I had less than 12 pens. But of course, I outgrew that. So this one, I can't remember if I purchased it because I had more than 12 pens or because I really wanted to take some of them out and about with me. This is a 3-pen case. The brand is called DiLoro. This is a 3-pen leather case that I purchased on Amazon as well in April of 2021. So maybe I did just purchase this one to fit some fountain pens for a quick out and about trip. And let me bring over some fountain pens so that you can kind of see how they fit in here. Yeah, so this is a pretty huge, pretty tall pen. This is a Wantra Dream pen in ebonite. This is the Platinum 3776 Century, and that's the Lamy 2000. Now, it will close still securely, but you'll see that this super big, super tall pen is exposed at the very top of the case. So I would not recommend at least putting that one on the end. It's pretty well protected if it's in the middle, unless you have something in your bag that would actually find its way through the tunnel. But yeah, it is a nice, very simple 3-pen case. So once I realized that I was outgrowing a 12 plus a 3-pen case, I had more than 15 pens, I figured a 20-pen case would be a good option. So this is, it says Kaco right here, the Kaco brand. I purchased this one on Amazon as well. This was in May, actually the following month in 2021. So let's take a look in here. And it actually still looks like a new case, even though I've had it for about 3 years now. Now here, there's not much over here because I actually took out some fountain pens. But this was completely full. It was a completely full case. And when the case is completely full, it closes securely. There's nothing bulging. It doesn't feel like you're going to break the zippers or damage your fountain pens or anything like that. And I also took care to rotate the pens so that the clips were not facing up, but they are off to the side, so this orientation kind of cuts down on the thickness of the pen case as well. So here we are. Now this one I do not want to place within the elastic because it is an urushi pen. It is gorgeous. So all of the fountain pens that are still in this case are fountain pens that I will be taking with me to the pen show to possibly get adjusted. So yes, I want all of these either ground down or tuned and smoothed. This one in particular, I'm not sure if I want it to be ground down. I might still get a grind on it because I'm a sucker for cursive italic nibs. So why not get a cursive italic nib on this very beautiful M1000? All right, so that is my 20-pen case. This is a fabric material. I don't know if I can actually show you like this canvas linen type pattern on here. So it's like a charcoal gray, almost black color, and it is built very nicely. That's the thickness. So this side right here is full of pins, but over here there is only one layer of pins versus 2 layers of pins over there. But yeah, it looks good. The zipper's not stretched, not taxed or anything like that. It's a very good case. The next case is my Shibui 3-pin case. And I really, what is this? Okay, it's carved by Kirkspear of the Pen Realm. I probably still had that one in there from the 2023 pen show when he ground one of my nib, or a few of my nibs for me. So this is a very nice case that I received as part of a mystery box from EndlessPens when they had their little Halloween mystery box things. This came in one of those packages. I'm not sure which one it was, but I really do love the fact that you can customize the width of each of these pen slots. So if I have a super, well, I usually don't put my largest pin right here on the edge because of the corners here. So I would typically put it right here. But before I do that, I want to start on the side. So if I have maybe this Platinum 3776 Century, I don't know if I would put it there. I would bring it down below that cap. That way it's flush with the body of the pen. And then here we go. You can go as thick as you want to put that next one in. So what if you have maybe a skinny pen or a skinny something that you want to take with you? Let's just put this in here for now. It is nice and snug. So let's just put that there and then tug it just a little bit more. And there you go. You've got 3 pins strapped securely in this case. It looks really nice, really neat. They don't touch each other at all. And then the case zips very easily. And you can slip some papers or anything in there that you want to. And there you are. Everything is completely secure. Nothing is exposed like this 3-pin case with a hole through the top. Everything is nice and secure. All right, so next is my Galen leather zippered 10-slot pen case. This is in the Crazy Horse Brown color. I really do like how their Crazy Horse leather materials age and get marked up. Like, that's cool. I think that's so cool. So it's a nice sturdy zipper with little flaps. And I think, oh, this happened when I was on a flight to Georgia and one of my pens burped on the plane. I think that's how that happened. It was a vintage pen, I believe it was. So this has been one of my favorites for the longest time until I got more fountain pen cases. But this is a very nice, very faithful fountain pen case. I actually used this one for my currently inked pens for the longest time until I decided to get another Galen leather product, which is up next. But if I just go ahead and slip some in here, and you'll actually see this pen case featured in my 30 Inks 30 Days wrap-up videos from April 2024 and June 2024. I really enjoy using this case. But as far as like trying to get my pens in and out and in and out and in and out, I worry about using oversized fountain pens in this case because of the stretching that happens with keeping them in there long term, and the potential to scratch or scuff some of my fountain pens that have a more delicate exterior. So I don't know if this one is going to be one of those that's really particular about scrapes and scratches or continual like rubbing or friction in a very specific way. But some of my pens, I want to be more conscious about how I use them and how I store them. So I wanted something that was a little bit better, a little bit more forgiving, especially for those currently inked pens that I'm using, pulling out and storing multiple times a day. All right, and here, this was something that sort of bothered me at the very beginning of my ownership of this pen case. These 2 flaps protect your fountain pens from each other, and right here in the corner, both of these corners of the flaps get caught in the zipper. So I have to be very careful, very conscious of how I close it. Half the time I think half the time I just close it right here. And if I want to, I'll go there. But I have to be really, really careful about this inner corner because they really do like to stick out, especially when these 2 spaces are in use. So it's kind of poking up. It has a little bit of, let me put that one right there. So if I have a pretty tall pen right here, is going to be pushing up on there. Oh yeah, and I also have to be careful about the bottom of my fountain pens reaching this corner, or either corner, but especially the bottom corner when there's nothing protecting it right there. So I have to be careful about that at the bottom, and I also have to be careful about zipping this pen case up when that is going on, when there is bunching because of fountain pens being right there. So I have to be really careful about that. Most of the time, I don't even go up past these top two corners because of the fact that this could get caught in there. So it is possible to zip it up, and that's about the thickness that you'll see with your pen cases, with a pen case like this being completely full, so it'll look like that all the way across. But I haven't had any issues. It looks like there's a little bit of stress right here that happened. I'm not sure like when that happened, but there's been a little bit of stress right here and a little bit right there. It looks like it's pulling just a bit right here where that little bump is. So this might be something that you want to think about. If you've got some really thick or really tall pens, it might be a bit stressed right there in the corner. But most of the time I'm not zipping it up past this point because of how much stress and how much these flaps tend to get caught in the corners. So I needed an option that was a little bit better than this one, even though it is an absolutely beautiful case. The next pen case is so good. I really like this pen case. This is also a Galen leather pen case. This is their Magnum Opus 12 slot hard pen case with a removable pen tray. So these are my currently inked fountain pens. So I take one of the little walls and I use that to pull up the tray, and it's got a magnetic closure. And this is what you normally see on every single one of my currently inked fountain pens, whether it's my initial thoughts or my final thoughts. I really love using this, but recently I've been outgrowing this, and so I have either a Kakimori pen rest right here, or I have Patience over here with me. So going back to this pen case setup, it is such a... I am so glad that Galen Leather creates leather goods like this, because this is such a really nice, very secure, very sturdy pen case. And I love that the case is removable because I get to feature it in my currently inked fountain pen videos. Now, you can see that these pens do wiggle, they do wobble in their places. And when they're in here, this wall doesn't prevent them from wobbling either. They still have like plenty of room, plenty of space. But I really think that that is a benefit to using this case, at least for me. Let me bring over this huge pen again. It's pretty tall. It sits pretty much flush with the top of the tray. But even with that, if I had 13 pens and I wanted to use this case, it still closes securely. There is barely any opening right here on the sides. There's not very much that can get in there. And there's nothing wrong, nothing happening, nothing damaging about this. So most often I would end up putting like one of my less expensive pens that I have in my currently inked collection. Most likely it's a Twisby up there. So that's my 12 slot hard pen case with a removable pen tray. And then I found something so nice and breathtaking on Etsy. These are hand-sewn fabrics, and I found all three of these on Etsy. If I start off with, I don't know, let's start off with the little one. Now this is a very, very flexible, very soft, very cushiony pen case, and it is a 5-pin or 5-slot pen case, and it is a very, very soft material. I don't know if I can show you the details of this fabric, but it's really soft, really nice. There's not much cushion in here, but I don't think that it's absolutely necessary if you're still being gentle with these items. At least with the fabric cases, they might require a little bit more care than a case like this or a case like this. Like this one, I would be comfortable just tossing in a bag and going. This one, I might want to, slot it somewhere and then I can go on my merry way. Now this one right here, I would probably put at the, make sure I put it at the top of my bag so I'm not squishing my pens or anything, because there is not much structure at all to this case. It just keeps your pens from getting scratched. So as far as the fit for this one, let's put a TWSBI in there, and it is flush. So TWSBI pens are actually kind of tall relative to other fountain pens. It's not a pocket pen by any means. If I put in a Leonardo Momento Zero Grande, it is also quite tall, and it can be covered completely by this case. Yeah, so it barely comes out above the edge. There's a brute force design fountain pen. Another large one. Here's my Scribo Feel. I'm going to turn that so that I'm putting the clips inside the slots as well. And here is an Esterbrook Model J. Oh, it's actually shorter than the TWSBI, so it's really down there in there. So if you have a pen that is shorter and you need to get it out, you can't really reach it this way, you can really use the fact that this is a fabric case and just squeeze it out like toothpaste. And you secure the fabric flap under that little band across the front. And there it is, nice and secure. You can still flex the case, but none of the pins are touching each other at all. Now, these pen sleeves or these slots go all the way down, but it is open at the very end. And there we go. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Look at the gold. Before I move on, this one is, what style is this one? The 5 slots pen bag is style I. So as I said, this was a purchase on Etsy. I purchased it from, who was it? This is a Saint Pen PPS Chinese style 5 slots pen bag in the style I. So yeah, that's what that is. I will make sure that I put the link to this Etsy store in the description box. So if you're interested in any of these fabrics, just go ahead and check that out below. So this next one is another pretty flexible pen case. And I featured this one for the very first time. Well, this one and the previous case. I featured these two during my August 2024 initial thoughts video. So if we open this one up, this pen case holds 10 fountain pens, and I can go ahead and put my currently inked pens in here. And that way you can see what happens when some of these much shorter fountain pens go into that case. So see, I love that I can actually fold that back as well. I would really be careful about the cleanliness of the surface before you start folding that back. I don't know, I'm just really particular about that kind of thing. So this is the relatively large Esterbrook ST Oversized. So I'm tucking the clip inside of the pen slot as well. Here's my pocket pen. Now if I just tuck that down in there, that is almost invisible in that second slot. So instead of doing that, squeeze it back out like I did with the other pen case. Even though this one's a little bit more difficult, it feels like this one has just a little bit more structure than the 5 pen case. So with this one and my other short or pocket fountain pens, I actually keep the pen clip on the outside of the slot so that it is nice and secure and I can grab it, pull it out whenever I'm ready. Because especially when this case is full of pens, it becomes a little bit more difficult to squeeze the bottom in order to get a fountain pen out. It's not impossible, it's just a little bit more work, and I don't want to put that much pressure on such a beautiful and well-made fountain pen case. All right, so this is another short pen. And this one is like borderline, but it actually comes out much more easily than these two. Probably because it's a cigar shape. Yeah, probably because it's a cigar shaped fountain pen. It's a little bit more difficult to kind of push a flat top back out of this case. Visconti Homo Sapiens went in, no issues, no problems at all. Bone Crusher 7 Studios, Franklin Christoph, and another Visconti right there in the corner. There we go. So that is a fountain pen case full of 10 pens. Now with this one, I used to do something like this to kind of get the case right, to close the case. But I started to, if I do both sides at the same time, it's a little bit easier, a little bit more seamless to get that flap down under the the front band. One thing that I have noticed about this particular pen case, you know, this is a handmade case, and so nothing's going to be absolutely perfect like it was completely machined. But the band that goes across the front, there's a little bit of, I guess, bunching here. And I don't know if this is just because of the way that I've been closing the pen case. And there's a little bit right here as well where the edge comes in, the corner comes in. So these are the areas that I do have to monitor to see if they actually worsen over time, or if this was just how this fabric is going to behave, because sometimes fabrics do some interesting things. I really love the colors in this case. And oh yeah, there you go. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Yeah. And this one is my brocade. Is it brocade or brocade? I think it might be brocade. This is my satin 10 slots pen case. So this is in the style A, also purchased from the same vendor on Etsy. This one has much more structure than the first two. And I've got some pretty inexpensive pens in here because I had to remove them from another case. Let's see if I can get this one out. This is kind of short, but it's actually not bad. What I do notice about this one is the fact that the pen slots are much thinner. So it's actually very easy to get some of these pens in and out. If you leave the clips on the outside, it's very easy to get these pens in and out. Yeah, so with this one, you can bend it just a little bit, but it is not the same level of flexibility that you would get from one of these other pen cases. So this one bends pretty well, pretty easily as well. And this one even more so. Yeah, so this is the most flexible. This is in the middle, and this is the least flexible. This is the one that I would actually worry about bending. This flap right here, I would not want to bend it back like that multiple times over and over and over. So I would just leave this open, maybe put something on top of it. And there we go. And just leave the case open that way if I needed to keep it open. But I would not be comfortable bending this one backwards just because of the structure that's inherent in the materials that were used. But look at that. This is so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. And it's the same. Oh, it's so nice. Now, if you have some pens that are just, they are super tall, this will still close properly over it. But I do feel a little bit of tension right there where the pen is. So these, that one I actually would just put the clip on the inside of the slot so that I could tuck it down in the slot into the case a little bit more, so that there would not be so much tension at this stress point in the case. Now this one is still new to me. So I'm very cautious. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to close this case, but oh, it's so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure how I would love to use this, how I'd like to use this one just yet, but I could definitely see myself putting like all of my fancy black fountain pens in here, because it's just, oh, this is a pen case that would need like all black Pilot fountain pens with their little stickers on there and everything. Like this, that's what this feels like to me. Okay, so we've got all the fabric cases here and all the leather cases here. Now, which ones am I actually going to take with me to the San Francisco Pen Show? I will be taking my fabric cases. These ones are actually going to be with me for the San Francisco Pen Show. So I would really have to, well, I know this one is going with me to the San Francisco Pen Show because this one has all of the fountain pens that I want to get ground or adjusted in some sort of way. And this is a really nice, very secure, very reliable pen case. And I'm not limited to like 10 slots or 12 slots. So right now I've got, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pens in here, and there are actually going to be 2 more. So there are going to be at least 13 pens in this case that I am hoping to get ground by some nib meisters, nib technicians at the pen show. I have 3 appointments already, but I'm hoping to get maybe 2 more. We'll see. We'll see. And I am nervous. I really want to bring these with me, but depending on my storage or traveling options, like the bags that I'm going to be using, that is going to dictate whether or not I use these cloth cases to bring my fountain pens with me. Because if I am going to be running out of space, I won't be using these cases to protect my fountain pens. I would actually go with my Galen leather Magnum Opus 12 slots hard pen case. So I know that this pen case is going to withstand the pressure. So if I have to squeeze this into something, I know that this is going to take the beating and my pens will be just fine, super safe. Now, when I use this pen case, I do take some precautions. I try my best not to like wiggle around or do any crazy stuff with my bags whenever I have this pen case, because I know that my pens are like loosely secure in here. And so to have them jiggling around and going up and down, I know they're not scratching up against each other, but there's still the danger of ink burping and ink splatters and all kinds of things that may happen inside the case. One of the first times that I used this pen case, this pen tray, I got ink on it for a size comparison, I think. But yes, this is Old Faithful. Even though it's not my oldest pen case, this is the most faithful one, the one that I feel is most secure for my fountain pens. These are my current favorites just because I love the fabrics and I love the feel of these cases. They just look so beautiful and they feel great, and there is no issues with these rubbing up against such soft fabric. Now, one of the things that I would suggest if you're interested in fabrics like this, I would be really careful to make sure that your hands and pens are clean of ink, because there's actually a little hint of some teal right there. And I don't know if it came from this pen or one of the others around it, but I had some ink on my fingers and didn't realize it, and it stained the fabric just a little bit. So it doesn't bother me, but if you are very particular about ink stains and everything, this is going to show those ink stains much more prominently than something like this. That I don't always see or notice, especially when I have fountain pens in here. Barely noticeable. On a regular day, I really love using these cases for my currently inked pens. That's what I've been using lately. This is my heavy duty case that I will take with me in any situation. This is my big one. So if I've got a lot of fountain pens that I need to transport and keep them together and secure, then I will put them in here, especially if I'm not going to be using them over and over and over. If I just need to store a lot of fountain pens, this is the case that I use. This one I've started using, like you've seen, for my vintage fountain pens and the fountain pens that I'll be using for my nib grinding practice. And these others are just the miscellaneous fountain pens that I'm keeping in my collection because they are so very useful when I have a need for 3 fountain pens or if I need a top 10 for some reason. Okay, so here I am post 2024 San Francisco Pen Show, and I purchased all 3 of these pen sleeves bags, koozies at the pen show, and I wanted to make sure that this was included in my pen cases video. So this right here is the Rickshaw 3-pin koozie. The style is called Rad Swirls Triptych, and you can fit some pretty large fountain pens in this koozie. Here we go. We've got a Visconti, a Santini, and a Scribble Feel in here. Nicely covered, completely covered. And I can just place this in a bag and be just fine. So it is flexible, just like some of my other fabric cases. Because of that, I would not place this just like throw it in a bag, but I would be very careful with how I transport these pens. But this is a really nice, quick way to store my pens if I need to go somewhere with just a few. This one is the Bokumondoh kimono sleeve. You can either use this as a pen pillow, or you can actually place your pens on the inside of this as a sleeve. And here they are. I love the colors in this pen sleeve, and I love using this one with my pens that have a more delicate finish. So yeah, I love to use this one with my lacquer or urushi fountain pens because they are so well taken care of in here, and there's no risk of scratching. It's a really nice material. And lastly, this is another Rickshaw product. This is the Well-Appointed Desk Sinclair R. And so I can place 3 fountain pens here. So it's really, really nice. I love this fuzzy material right here on the inside of the case. The only issue I have is with this rougher material at the very edge of each of the pockets. So I would not place my Urushi pens or anything else that I would fear getting scratched by this material in here. But for my less expensive fountain pens, like my Twisbees and things like that, I would have no problem using this pen case for that. There's also space for a nice little notebook to go right there, or anything else you want to place in that pocket. You can also place like single pen sleeves in here as well. I've done that before and have had really great experiences with using it in that way. You can also put some pen sleeves here or another notebook on the outside, but I really do love this for just like a little quick carry with a couple items along with a few inexpensive fountain pens. I wanted to make sure I included these in the video. Okay, I forgot to tell y'all about all of the one-off fountain pen cases that I have in my collection just because of my fountain pen purchases. So I've got a lot of 1-pen cases, a lot of these from Franklin Christoph, as you see. That's an Esterbrook one. This one is a Galen leather case that I got from some purchase. Fountain telling for my fountain telling pen. This is a Rickshaw case. This is one that I got with a Mont Blanc purchase. This might have been for my Stanford Pen Studio fountain pen, I think. These are the Lamy Pink Cliff and the Violet Blackberry fountain pens. And this is my Scribo pen case that has 2 slots and a little polishing cloth in there as well. So yeah, if I ever need any extra pen cases for 1 pen or for 2 pens, I'm covered. So yeah, I hope this was comprehensive enough for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll make sure to provide you with links for purchasing these types of cases on Etsy, as well as some of these other ones that I found on Amazon. If you've got questions about where to find those, look in the description box. I'll have the links in there. And if you have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.